Hey everyone, this is a special episode if you're tuning in. I didn't do anything really big for episode 150, so I thought I'd do kind of something fun to end off 2023. And with this episode, I'm going to be doing a clip show, kind of going back and looking through some of my favorite moments from episodes of this year, um, with some really cool bands that all put out some killer stuff this year. So, without further ado, let's check it out. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. Like I did mention, this is going to be a very special episode since I'm doing a clip show. Where I kind of bring out some of my favorite moments or conversations that I've had in 2023 with, bands that have been on. I might pepper in some of my favorite just moments in general from 2023. This was, I feel like, a really good year, either podcast or life wise in general. So we're all about happy moments right now. One thing I really love about doing this podcast is getting to sit down with different bands from across the country and kind of take a look at how their scene is. I know a bigger picture, most scenes are all pretty much the same, but it's nice to see all those little nuances where it makes kind of scenes different or anything that's happening. For the first scene in this episode, I pulled out a conversation from when I sat down with the band Tether, a melodic hardcore band based out of New Jersey. They did put out an EP this year, the debut EP called Human Error. So please go check that out. But we're going to kind of talk about, what their scene thinks of them, being kind of a new band and what their scene's like in general. Check it out. With this also, you guys are Tether's basically a year old. How's it been received in the New Jersey scene? I know, like Josh, you were saying, like you kind of fell out of the local scene. I mean, that happens to everyone. That happened to me. Like I was in my local scene. I fell out for a while, and then I was like, I need to find a way to get back in. Start doing the podcast, and this was my kind of route back in. And now I've kind of dipped a toe into, like, it feels like everyone's scene.
Oh yeah,
especially like New Jersey, Pennsylvania scene. I feel like I've dipped a lot of toes into that scene.
Hell yeah.
You guys have like that fucking, like, whatever you call, like,
the tri-state area.
Yeah.
Let me tell you,
killer.
Statistically, the tri-state area and typically the East Coast has the largest saturation of local bands and like the largest local scene in the entire country.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to see, like, I mean, growing up, I would have never thought that bands of the likes of like Thursday, Census Fail, and like all those other kind of bands, those niche type of bands, whether it's emo, whether it's punk or hardcore, or whatever you want to call it, I would have never known originally that they were from these states or they were from these areas. And then as I got older, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, hold on. Now it makes sense why they wrote New Jersey falls into the Atlantic. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Hate New Jersey.
Yeah. Oh, because you can have a lot of reasons to hate New Jersey, but it was just so cool to see that. And like you said, like, it wasn't hard to dive back into the scene because originally I really thought the scene was kind of fading. And I had, when I was growing up in the scene as a high schooler, I really saw so much potential in the scene. But then when I got into like my early to mid 20s, I really didn't hear a lot about shows happening or didn't really hear a lot about anything. And then just this weird explosion, of course, after the pandemic, everyone had the opportunity to actually be live and be out and about, and people were allowed to surround themselves and crowd themselves. So shows were happening again. It was the poppin' thing to happen again. So everyone was like, holy shit, like, we can do this. Like, we will never get this chance again. Maybe, who knows if another pandemic will happen tomorrow, because they told us it would be only a few months. And here we are a year later and we're fucking shackled in our houses. You know what I'm saying? So like, it just like, it made me think like, I need to take this opportunity. And now these guys, as well as me, I mean, I'm 27 and I'm like, I want to take advantage of this. I want to be able to do something, and not because I want to, make a name for myself in music. I love doing this. I have loved doing this, and I love being able to do something like this. And I know these guys, you can tell these guys love doing it the same way.
It's all right.
Yeah. I mean, it's all right.
Something to do on a Tuesday night, am I right?
I got nothing else going on.
Yo, where's my money?
My Tuesday was wide open. So.
Needs a new bass player.
Wait, you guys were getting paid?
You guys are getting paid for this?
What the fuck did we get ice cream?
You hear anything about getting ice cream?
Anyway.
Anyways, sorry.
No, you're good. So yeah, kind of back to, I guess, the start of that. How has Tether been received so far in like the New Jersey scene?
We did kind of stray away
We
from that question, didn't
so ran away.
There was like 2 questions in my one question, so
I
you're
am
fine.
drinking liquor in an oat milk cup.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. I'm not.
Gosh, I took your cup.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh hell yeah, I gave it to you. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't realize you did that. I figured you're clean.
I
I
think
think pretty well.
I think pretty well.
We've only had a few shows, but like,
Really, yeah.
I mean,
I
even
think
like I said,
5
you know,
maybe.
we've been abandoned
Yeah.
a year. Yeah, maybe like 5, 6 shows. Like, really not too many. But I think it's weird to say from the band's point of view, like whether people like us, because like
Yeah.
we're the band, so it's like leave that for them to decide.
Yeah.
Well, like,
Yeah.
without sounding like cocky, like I feel like we have gotten people be like, "Yo, you guys have only played X amount of shows. Like that's crazy. You guys
Yeah.
are tight."
That's
Like,
the biggest
yeah.
thing.
I feel like we
Yeah.
get pretty good response, even from our first show ever. Like our first show was at the end of an existing show. It was at Josh's basement.
Yeah.
That we threw a show, and just like at the end, we're like, we only have 3 songs written. Let's just hop on and play them.
Yeah.
And like not even be on the bill, not even a
Yeah,
real
yeah,
band.
yeah.
We're just like, hey, we're gonna play these 3 songs we have.
Yeah.
And literally everyone that night was like, you guys have only been a band for how many months? Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
So I feel like the couple shows we've done have gotten pretty well received so
And
far.
technically, we're now in June. I want to say June onset, early July will be our official year of being a band.
Yeah.
And
it hasn't even been a year.
it hasn't even been a year.
Yeah.
And
End of August is like the anniversary
of the first show. And
Okay.
every show we've had since that show, it feels kind of overwhelming that people have come to us and just the same responses every time. Like, you've been a band for how long? Like, you guys sound so tight. You sound like this, you sound like that. And I love the references or like the bands that people kind of compare us to. Like the one moment someone compared us to Silverstein, I almost shit my pants because I literally have a signed Silverstein poster right above my computer, and I almost shit my pants because Silverstein just liked a story of mine a few days ago, and like
Yeah.
I
You're shitting your pants a lot.
I've been shitting my pants a lot. I can't control it. And
I've been shitting your pants.
I've been shitting your
I've been
pants a
shitting your
lot.
pants. I gotta
And-
stop
I'm drunk.
and honestly, like it honestly, I think we remain humble about it in the sense that like we haven't put out a single taste of music besides live videos.
Yeah.
And maybe like a taste of demos that haven't even been the mixes or masters that Christian has done at all. And we still have like a relative following, and people are genuinely excited to hear what we have going on, and they don't even know what the fuck we sound like. Like only from if they've actually seen us live, which is exciting nonetheless. Like we
Yeah.
love being able to play live. We just love that aspect of it, but it's just been so well received, I think, from the current party of people that have heard us.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the reactions I've seen have been insane, from people just like wondering how I do the vocals from screaming to singing and spoken word to sing. And then just how everyone remains so tight, just knowing when to play. Like we're not using fancy equipment like in-ear monitors or, you know, the shit that costs you an arm and a leg. Like I'd have to sell my fucking kidney for, like, you know, like we genuinely just have heart for this, and we know what we want to play.
Bass doesn't have a case.
Yeah. Dude,
There's a
it sits in the back room.
There's a naked bass.
Yeah.
I've had this bass since I was 12.
Yeah.
And, yo, it fucking rips, man.
No, it's rich. He literally we just practiced before this podcast, and he walks in the basement. It's so beautiful. You ever watch the video where like the teacher walks into the class, he goes, "Hello, hello, hello." It's like Surge walking into the basement, just, "What's up, brothers?" You know, just gripping the fucking bass neck for dear life.
Again, I'm the guy who breaks shit in my other band.
Yeah.
For fun. So I Equipment maintenance ain't shit to me. I don't know. Does it work? All right. Sounds good to me.
Oh man.
But to answer your question, and yeah, it's been received pretty well. Like
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to bullshit or lie about it, and I don't think the guys they would honestly make a face if they'd be like, like
They hate us.
They hate
It's
us.
terrible.
Please don't listen.
No, I think something that really helped is, and it's cool to be able to be somewhat involved in the scene in this way, is just to have Gideon's as a place where people can come through. Like our friend Gabby that we mentioned earlier has been throwing a lot of shows in this area, and she's really kind of built, for lack of a better word, a scene that wasn't really there. Like we talked about how the scene kind of, came and went in waves. Like I feel like 10 years ago there were at
The
least
Brad shows,
Yeah.
VFW.
there were at least like 4 or 5 promoters around that were really just doing it week in, week out. And for a while it was kind of just like this big hole. It was either Philly or New Brunswick or Glassboro.
Yeah.
And like, to her credit, like she started throwing shows here, and we've started booking shows here, and she has another space too that a lot of people show up to. And it's just really like, we were kind of lucky to have started up with her in the band and been able to have that. It was basically just like, oh, we can throw you on the show, and then people would show up, and it was just an easy way for people to hear us, which was really cool.
Yeah, I've seen, thankfully through DIY Twitter, I know a lot of people that are mutuals with Gabby, and I've seen some of the flyers that have been passed around and the work that she's done. So, quick shout out to Gabby for, helping revitalize that scene and just, being a workhorse at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Good word.
I had a wild and crazy time with Tether. If you couldn't tell from that clip, there was, that's just a small clip of that entire episode. All these episodes you can find out on the YouTube channel if you want to watch the video version, or, we do have all the audio ones streaming on all the platforms. So make sure you tune in, because I loved conversations that I had with each one of these people. And also make sure you tune into all the music that they have out, because it's all killer. Speaking of killer, the next clip I sit down with Jay from Kerosene Heights. We kind of talk about their this was an episode that came out in early 2023, so we kind of talk about their whirlwind of 2022. But I couldn't leave them off this list, mainly because when I first started doing the video version, Jay was kind of my guinea pig, and first video episode had Kerosene Heights in it. So, I had to include a clip, and it was just a great time talking to them. Kerosene Heights also put out a sick full length this year called Southeast of Somewhere. Be sure to check that out. You can get vinyl copies over at No Sleep, and it's streaming everywhere. Between doing the split that I think released in November, doing the deluxe and announcing that, and the partnership with No Sleep, that was a great way to end. I feel like Kerosene Heights is 2022. Just kind of go out on that high note.
Yes, it was cool. It was a super busy. The end of the year was really, really busy for us in the best way. We did, I think, the longest tour any of us had ever done, which was like just at 3 weeks at the kind of beginning of October, down to Fest in Florida, and then had that split come out, I think right before, I want to say it was right before Fest, that it got sometime around then. It was the end of this. I got married right like a week after we played Fest.
Wow.
So I was gone for another week after that. Like it was kind of, it's still been nonstop. It's just I guess publicly the band has slowed down a lot over the past couple months, but we have still been incredibly busy.
Wow. Well, congratulations on also getting married.
Thanks.
That sounds like an action-packed last few months, playing Fest, releasing this, getting married, signing No Sleep, releasing the deluxe. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, yeah, we I guess technically we signed to No Sleep while we were on that tour. So even that was like, all right, we're just gonna not stop doing this. But that's sort of what all of us want. I mean, that's I think everybody in the band is like really into touring, and which is hard to find. And yeah, just kind of loves doing all of it. So it for us, it's like, yeah, whatever we can do to keep getting to do this, hopefully eventually in a way that's sustainable for us. But even if it's not, like, yeah, we'll just keep doing it. It's fine. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, you guys are for sure living that dream. I mean, signing the contracts and stuff while you're basically on tour, like
Yeah.
that's kind of like a peak moment for a lot of people. One, just to do tour, but like also get to have the signing happen kind of in that same, like, oh, obviously we're doing shit right type of deal.
Yeah, it was
So
cool. We celebrated. We were in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and a couple of the guys in the band had never eaten oysters before, so we got oysters, and that was our celebration.
Nice. Now obviously we're kind of like obviously we just celebrated New Year's Eve. We're in 2023. We've been kind of talking about this LP. Like when I know it sounds like you're going to be recording here pretty soon. Like, do you know any ideas as to when we can expect a couple singles or what the timeline's looking like for you guys?
We are shooting for a summer release. This has been sort of the new fun thing to navigate. Like I said before, I've played in bands for most of my life. I haven't done a lot of the things that I'm doing now for this band. So it's all been a learning process. But a lot of this seems really contingent, and sort of the like hinge for all this is like, okay, well, the recordings have to get done first. And then we'll sort of start to, I think, plan that rollout and release and all that for it. So yeah, we go to the studio. I guess maybe by the time this comes out, we'll have just finished. We go at the end of January. Yeah, we're looking at hopefully a summer release.
Okay. And where are you guys going to record at?
We are recording actually here in Asheville. So we're recording at a studio here called Drop of Sun, which is I really can't stress how excited I think all of us are about it. It's such a nice studio. They've worked with, I guess most recently and probably notably, they've worked with the band Wednesday. That is also an Asheville local band. And then MJ Lenderman, who again is a part of Wednesday, but that's their solo project. They're also Asheville local. They just did the newest Archers of Loaf record that came out. I think they've done some like Angel Olsen stuff. I'm excited and interested. They have not really done a lot of the music that we play, but they've done like death metal bands that it sounds great. So I think it's going to be awesome. Yeah, it just kind of was, again, it's like sort of a no-brainer for us to like stay home, stay where we're at, work somewhere that we're comfortable and feel good about, what we're doing. And I think it's gonna hopefully show in the record that that's what it was.
Yeah, dude. Well, like I said, I'm so stoked to see what this LP is gonna be like, because I mean, jamming this EP has been so good, and like emo revival, like I can't stress that enough. Like you guys put it on the Bandcamp, like that's literally what this feels like. Especially growing up listening to like Early Free Throw, which I still listen to Early Free Throw because I'm stuck in my ways. But like Dowsing, all that shit, like just it makes me feel like I want to be in a basement in a college town drinking like a case of like PBRs and just vibing out. Like that's my favorite shit. It reminds me so much of it.
That's awesome, dude. That's I think that's yeah, like that's what we want. That is, I grew up playing in more like very straightforward like pop punk bands throughout most of my younger time playing music, and had a just awful touring experience with the band I was doing that with, and ended up back at my parents' house in Central Florida after that tour, and not in the best place. And I think that was probably during that time period when you're talking about of like that 2009 2010, when so many of these like emo bands at the time were putting out just like incredible music, and I'm like, holy shit, what is this? Like I think, you know, it definitely like that just totally changed the whole trajectory for me. That I was like, I want to make this. Yeah, I started an emo band in my very small hometown in Florida, and did that for a little while, and eventually left it and moved across the country. But yeah, that is the type of music that I think we all genuinely just love. And so it's fun to get to kind of do our spin and our take on that.
Another album that came out this year that is super sick that I really enjoyed is the self-titled album by Stress Fractures. It does feature the song Stress Fractures by the band Stress Fractures on the album Stress Fractures. Try saying that 5 times fast. I can hardly say it 1 time slow. But I sat down with Marty, Shredmaster Marty, to kind of talk about the album, and just had a great time with them. If anyone's looking for that, it is obviously streaming everywhere. But also be sure to go check out Acrobat Stable, the label that Marty runs. They have a killer lineup. They're doing incredible things, and just killing it. Like this is a nice collection of 10 songs. If people are new to Stress Fractures and obviously haven't listened to the older versions, and they're coming into just this self-titled, I don't know, and like in your opinion, like what are some like go-to songs to kind of get a feel for this era of Stress Fractures?
I mean, the self-titled track is definitely the go-to. That one that one I mean, it's the top track on Spotify. I never thought that would be the one, because I thought that one was too different from everything else, but Liz told me it was the one. Everybody that's been playing in the band has told me that's the one. So yeah, I guess I was wrong, which is sick because it's hella the one.
Okay.
So yeah, listen to that. Smoke, I think that song is fucking sick. But It's Good Enough, that's another favorite.
Oh yeah.
Basement of the Alamo is like my personal favorite, but I don't know that many other people rock with that one as much. It's a little more mid-tempo. So I don't know. Maybe you can't really bop as much to it like you can the rest.
Yeah.
But I think that one's lit. I think the guitar solo in it is cool. Somebody hit me up one day on Instagram. I was like, this is the most relatable song I've ever heard in my life. And I was like, word. So that helped solidify to me that song is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my top. I'd say Stress Fractures, Smoke, and But It's Good Enough would be like the top 3, like newcomer. Check these 3 out.
Okay. Hell yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? What was your favorite track? I'm curious.
But It's Good Enough is a top one. See You Next Semester. I mean, that was the first one I found, so like it's easily becomes like one of my favorites.
Hell yeah.
Stun It is actually a pretty solid one too, that I would probably put at least top 4.
True. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stunted's cool too. That's the oldest. I think that's the oldest one. At least like the riff, the part in the what is it called? The chorus. I've had that riff written for like 10 years now.
Oh damn.
And I never knew what to use it for, and that was the song that I used it for. I think I first wrote that I like finished the song in 2019.
Now, having that like riff in your back pocket for that entire time, like how do you like, when does it click that like, oh, this riff should go for this song?
Sometimes never. I've got tons that I've been sitting on that I don't think I'm going to do anything with. Yeah, like some of them I'm like, this is just kind of bad, but now I'm used to playing it, so I'm just going to fiddle with it every time I pick a guitar up. But I acknowledge that it's like not a good riff. But it's one that I remember because I've just played it a million times.
Yeah.
But no, that one I think it's the first riff I ever like wrote when I was like, how do I tap on a guitar? That was like one of the first things I came up with, and I don't know, something about it. I knew I had to use it.
Well, thankfully you held on to it and used it. Like, I mean, it came out sick. So
Real, thank you. Yeah, and the wah effect on it, that was not my idea at all. When Jake Checkaway was mixing it, when he sent back the first mix, he was like, "Let me know if you like this," and I was like, "Yeah," but I don't own a wah pedal, so I can't do it live. Oh well, but that was sick. It was sick. I'm glad he did that.
Yeah.
Now I need to buy a wah pedal.
Like, it was their ploy the entire time, just to like, we're gonna find out that they also sell wah pedals on the side. They're like, this is how you get one.
Yeah, and then I started leaning more into like the rock shit from the 90s. They all had wah pedals. Now I need to get one.
Right.
Problem.
One album that really caught me off guard this year was Super Tiny Infinite Dans by the band Yes Yes 1,000 Times Yes. They're doing this cool genre bending style, where they're just mixing all these genres in not just the album, but sometimes in one song in general. So check out this clip from their episode where we kind of talk about the sound that they get and how it comes about and what they're doing with it. If anyone's looking for tapes or CDs, you can get those over at Really Rad Rex, Dispo. Other than that, it is streaming everywhere. But yeah. Well, if someone's like listening to this episode and they're not familiar with the SES, the one thing that I found really cool is that you can start a song in one, like, you guys will start a song basically like math rock, and by the end of it, you've hit 3 different genres in the one song, and it's just so crazy that like all that happens and you're like, oh shit, like that was just one song. Or like even within the first 5 songs of the record, you get to the end of Numb Sum, and because you have that like long drawn out outro, and you're like, damn, that was a crazy EP. And then the next song hits and you're like, oh shit, like there's still a whole like B-side to this. There's so much more that I was not anticipating. And I don't know, basically it's just so crazy that you pack all of that into not just one song, but like every song has so many crazy things going on in like the best ways. And it was like kind of refreshing, rather than just listening to like the same like emo and pop punk shit that I listen to all the time, where it's changed up so much in just the one song. Like, what's the thought process behind being like, we're gonna pack everything into this song and just see how it goes?
I'll let Dan answer that, but I just want to say, every time Dan would show at least me a song, I don't know if it's true for Ryan, I'd be like, there's no fucking way we're learning this. This is
100%. I was just like, who do you think we are?
Yeah.
Like, you're not Rush.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, are they going to call my bluff? Like, are they actually going to try and learn this song? Yeah, I think that for me, it like my songwriting approach lately has been like trying to address the like shortened attention span of myself and everybody that is happening from social media and just technology, because I know that even when a band I like will put out new music, I'll go to listen to it, and then like 20 seconds into the first song, I'm just like, okay, what's this? What like I'm driving. I'm actually feeling listening to Rush or whatever, like it's really hard to like keep people's attention nowadays, myself included, like, so I think that it's kind of trying to keep just that engagement, keeping people interested, and keep myself interested. Like, it's a challenge to try to weave between different genres or different vibes in the same song. And maybe I really like recycling riffs, but with a different tempo or different vibe, like literally the same notes, but played in a different way. Like the movies in the beginning, there's like, the intro is really slow and drawn out, and then within the next breath, it's like the same exact notes, but like probably 32 times as fast, or something like just real quick. And so it's I don't know, it's kind of like a fear of like losing people's attention, but also a fun challenge to like try to make it work and make it interesting, like in general, I describe my band as like trying to synthesize pop and like the weirdest shit that I can incorporate in a song, like how weird can I get before I lose the listener?
Well, you definitely have not hit that wall yet because I'm still like super hyped and want to keep listening. Um, like it's just crazy things that happen. Like especially like obviously it's got like a double title, but Buzzing Still and Cousin House, where it kind of just towards the middle kind of just splits, and even though it's technically one song, it becomes two songs in its listen. Which I think is just really cool how like it flows so well to be able to do that and just keep it going.
Yeah, that was kind of like the wink wink, like this is two songs. I'm gonna give it two names with the backslash. But I think that they make sense. I didn't really want to split it up into two songs because the second half is a little more not like boring, but a little more consistent. Like it's just kind of verse chorus format and playing with I don't know. I didn't think that it would like stand alone on its own as a song, and I like it as like the tail end of that song or the second half really.
If you're a fan of the podcast or you know you've checked in more than one episode, as I normally say, I'm so sorry and why do you keep doing that? But honestly, I really do appreciate the support and that anyone checks out these episodes. It really does mean a lot. But if you've checked out any of them or you checked out multiple, you know that one thing that I really love and pulls at my heartstrings is sound clips in these DIY emo albums. And the next couple clips that we're going to talk about, feature some really cool clips. So we kind of talk about their process getting to there and why they decided to use them. The two bands that we're about to listen to is first we're going to listen to the episode that I did with Excuse Me, Who Are You? They didn't release an EP in 2023. It actually came out in 2022, but I did record with them in 2023, so it counts. We're gonna talk about their EP About That Beer I Owed Ya, which is super killer, super sick, great EP into the minds of these dudes. And currently vinyl's all sold out, but you can still get tapes over at Thumbs Up Records. On their website, and then we might just hop right into the other sound clip episode, which is going to feature the conversation I had with the band The Others Like Us, which they're based out of Oklahoma. They're another kind of Midwest emo band that's killing it out of Oklahoma. They also recently just signed to Thumbs Up Records. I know you can get some pre-order stuff up on the website, so make sure you go do that. And Thumbs Up Records, home of the Riff Mafia, and these two EPs really encapsulate that. So check out the conversations I had with them. So hopping back over to this EP, like you mentioned, 4 songs, super great. It's basically like I don't know if ode is the right way, but basically just like a little soundtrack to like kind of regretting not seeing a person in your life anymore. Whether that's like through love or any other connection. So I mean, it's super relatable, and I'm sure everyone else that's listened to it, just as I have connected to one song or all of them in some different way. But one cool thing you guys do with this EP is for repeat listeners, I love sound clips and anything that gets put out, especially emo bands when they do it, because it's pulled off so well. Now with your sound clips, you use them from the video game Half-Life, which I actually had to look up to see. Like I never played Half-Life, so I had to look up like one of the quotes to see what it was all from. But you use it in a nice way where it kind of transitions the entire EP at the same time, because you kind of get that nice flow throughout. What was the idea with using those Half-Life sounds to mesh them with your music?
I've been a huge Half-Life fan since Half-Life 2 came out. And it's yeah, and Jackson as
But
well.
I had nothing. I had never played it, so
I knew that when we had all 4 songs written, I knew that I wanted They're Waiting for You, Gordon, to be the first song, and I knew Test Chamber I wanted to be the last song. And I named them both because of that, like that one quote that like stops right there and then picks up later on.
you had to fucking fight to get that song rating good. No one else wanted.
I did.
Everyone wanted that song. Yeah, he fought and he won, and it was good.
Yeah.
Good job, Steve.
Well, so the thing is, when I knew that They're Waiting for You, Gordon, I knew that I wanted that opening line to be like the intro to the EP. Because it's the opening to Half-Life 2, and that soundbite is just really, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just really, really cool. And the thing is, I knew I wanted to put sound bites in other parts of the songs. I just didn't know exactly which ones. So there was a day where I downloaded all the sound files from Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 to my computer, and I went to work and I was just like listening to every single voice acting file and just like picking some out. And I kind of threw them together somewhat randomly, except for the Test Chamber one was the only other one I knew, like They're Waiting for You, Gordon, in the test. I knew that had to be in there somewhere, but all the other ones I just kind of like picked out just through listening to them. But after we put them in place, I realized it did kind of like tell this story. I just wasn't exactly sure what it was yet. And it reminds me of like David Lynch. I don't know where he said it, but he said something like he'd like just do your art and then figure out what it means later. Yeah. And I think that like is definitely how that ended up. And I also think like what you said about like how it being this like homage to like falling out of touch with someone. I've never even thought about it that way, but like when we wrote that EP, like me and one of my best friends had a huge argument and didn't talk to each other for an entire year, like while we were writing that. So that is nuts. You just blew my mind with that one.
Yeah, I mean, overall, like, it's just such a fun EP to like just listen to and jam out with. But yeah, once you get past, it takes, like with anything, any new like song or record that you're listening to, once you get past the instrumental content, you kind of break it down to like listen to the lyrics and at least interpret it in like the way that you want to, or you think that the artist wanted it to be interpreted. Like it just took it to a whole nother meaning. I mean, like about that beer I owe ya, it's like when you think about like the songs with that saying itself, it's like fuck, like I'll never get I'll never get to have that beer with that person again, or like there's that falling out and like missed opportunities and shit.
Yeah, and a lot of the lyrics are definitely about like friends and things changing, and partners and whatever it might be, and definitely.
The lyrics were that was all.
But I definitely approached it with like an understandable, fun, like approach of just kind of being silly and easygoing about it. But yeah, it's definitely a lot, like you were saying, about never getting that beer with that person ever again. Things just not like it used to be, or whatever it might be.
What if people have been tuning into this podcast for excessive periods of times? One, what are you doing? Why do you listen to me talk all this time? But one thing that you kind of gather is I also really love sound clips in songs, and you guys use some pretty great ones. Like there's two in Shred Flanders, but then there's also, I think there's one in Starting a Fist Fight, isn't there?
Yeah, it's Cowboy Bebop.
Okay, that's what it is.
Cowboy Bebop line before the start of it. At the intro, and then
the Shred Flanders has one at the beginning that I wasn't able to pinpoint. I know the one towards the end, towards the middle end of the song. That one's from Scott Pilgrim. That took me a second to remember as to that exact scene. But yeah, that one's from Scott Pilgrim. What's the other one from?
It's from a podcast called My Brother and Me. It's my favorite podcast I listen to, and so I thought that part was really funny. They were coming up with like trying to be relatable to teens. So they're like trying to come up with like a naming convention of like, what's your first name's your least favorite soda and last name's your favorite soda, and so they were just trying to figure out how to be cool and relatable to teens.
And like, what was the decision behind using like these three, and for the songs that they ended up going into?
Man,
the time that it took to put them in there.
Yeah, really, there's not the most thought was behind the Scott Pilgrim, because when we were in the studio, we were trying to figure out like I was just the producer and we were just talking, and it was like something needs to go there. I don't know we didn't know if it was like a vocal thing or not, and then we were just coming up with like ideas, and I thought of the party scene from Scott Pilgrim, and I was like, well, the song's about I went to a party once and had a bad time, and that's kind of what the scene was in the movie. So I felt like it fit pretty perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, even with the Cowboy Bebop sample, I think Sam texted me one day and he was like, "We have like 6 seconds before the start of a song that we can fit something into," and so we just kind of found something that was cool and could fit in a small time strain.
Now, was that like for the Cowboy Bebop, you have this amount of time? Is this something that you kind of already had in the back of your mind of possibly using at some point, or was it more just like, let's just see what comes naturally if we like go through a Rolodex of stuff?
At least on my end, not to speak for all of us, it's kind of both. I have like a YouTube like playlist of just things that I think you could chop up and throw in a song at some point, or put on like a pedal at a show to tune with, or just something to fill space. And so obviously some of them are a little more like easy to fit into spaces than others. I think sometimes you kind of just play a song and then you have a space of like 15 to 20 seconds that you're like, oh, like I could, put something here, and then you go back and file through it.
Have something. I literally stole this from Henry from Ben Quad. He's got a pedal on his board that you can just plug into your computer and like load, like you could do audio files onto it. So that's what we do between songs, because I'm such a terrible like crowd banter person. Like I'm so awkward. So it's like way better to just like we'll end a song and then like I'll just hit the pedal and like Stone Cold Steve Austin can cut like a little promo while I tune and like make sure that we're ready for the next song. I just kind of have I've got a Rolodex of like what would work as like a sample or it's something I thought would be really funny that we could put in a song, but it just 9 times out of 10 doesn't fit at the moment. But you never know. Use it for a future song.
I think out of everyone I've talked to, you guys are the first to actually say that you have like you were saying, like you have a YouTube like playlist saved of stuff that you can go back to. Like most people I talk to, they're just like, oh no, like we just kind of like just somehow like jot it down or remember it. But like I would think about it 10 years later about like, oh, I could have used that.
Right.
Why didn't I think of it? And then like I never wrote it down.
There was when we almost used where that Scott Pilgrim sample was in Shred. In studio, I was looking just through my liked videos. That's where I keep my samples. It's just my liked videos on YouTube, and we almost used this clip from the movie Holes. Just because I thought it was really funny as a kid, and so I was like, we should maybe use it, maybe not. And then we had this SpongeBob clip that almost made it into a song.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, the SpongeBob. Our producer stopped us because he's like, SpongeBob's really weird about copyright stuff, so I don't know if we could clear that or make sure like not get in trouble about it. But
Nickelodeon's got the big money.
Yeah, Viacom.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's always those what ifs of like what we could have used that, but like you said, just hang on to it. Maybe another song in the future will like work. It'll just like click of like, no, this is the whole song. This is the one we're gonna risk it on.
Yeah, one of these days we'll throw a SpongeBob one in and see if Viacom will sue us or
prepare for the biggest legal battle of our lives.
I think you should be okay because there's like that one like hardcore SpongeBob band. I think
I
it's
was
like
gonna just mention SpongeCore.
Oh,
SpongeCore.
yeah, and like they use a bunch of sound clips and like they've done records and like presses and all that stuff. And I mean, you should be fine.
I think this podcast is slowly just turning into how we could skew around
Yeah.
copyright.
There's definitely a paper to be written about like how emo and sort of adjacent genres do rips and like use merch for companies and things and like do really well. Like I love it. I love
Yeah.
just like weird shit on shirts that is like, you know, just like Sonic and then the band, you know, nothing that has like,
Yeah.
anything to do with them, but like, you know,
Right.
people wear it. Really cool.
Right.
I remember my friends were in a band called Charlie Siren, and they had a shirt that literally just said Charlie and then Siren, but they had a picture of Charlie Sheen on it.
That's sick.
Yeah, like,
then-
I'll do anything for $20, you know?
Yeah,
Buy that
really.
shirt.
yeah, exactly. I think I have a Seaway shirt somewhere in probably a closet at my parents' house, and I can't remember what the wording said on it, but it was just I think Emma Watson in like a bikini on the front, and I was just like, you know, I was like 18. I was like, fuck yeah, take my money, man.
Our friends in the band Sunpo, they had a shirt that had just a character from R5 from Fully Cooley. Or no, just from Fully Cooley. Sorry, I just said the whole band name, but from Fully Cooley on it, and it just said Sunpo right underneath. And I was like, that's a sick shirt. I have it.
That was the first thing I ever said to them. I was like, that's the coolest shit up there.
Fully Cooley.
Yeah, I think there was like there was also an era, like how we're talking about these long band names. There was also an era of bands when they would just make shirts or any merch, but just use like straight up copyrighted logos, and because no one gave a shit, because there was also this rumor that went around, or whether it was true or not, of like, if you sell less than $1,000 worth, no one's gonna give a fuck, because it takes too much time and too much money to tell you to like sue you and tell you to stop. The most that they're gonna do is just send you a letter. So like we said with like the Charlie Siren one, but I think there was a band from New York that had like the full Mighty Ducks logo like on their shirt too. It was really sick. I copped that one too. But yeah, like just the amount of stuff that people would do was great, and I feel like that really died off along with the long band names, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I wish I could have came up with something that's as good as The World's a Beautiful Place. I'm no longer afraid to die, but
you can't really beat that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, the others like us, you guys are still killing it. I mean, you guys are still doing it, still keeping the long band names alive, long song titles alive. Sorry, I also haven't had supper, so I guess this beer is hitting a little bit more.
Yeah, it's the heat.
Yeah, we're gonna say it's the heat. As you probably heard at the end of that, the Others Like Us clip, you know, I time out my days very poorly sometimes. Mainly just I'm so excited to sit down with these bands that I, you know, maybe forget to eat before I do that. And, you know, when you incorporate alcohol, it doesn't make it the best. But maybe 2024 will be the year that I finally start adding a little bit extra time so I can eat supper before talking with them. Who knows? No guarantees. So for this clip show, I kind of wanted to pull in, you know, different elements of a full episode. So, you know, we usually talk about scene, the album, obviously sound clips kind of tie into that. And, you know, as much as I can, I try and talk about some music videos, because everyone's music videos that I've been seeing lately have been killer. And they're usually, you know, doing them pretty DIY, which is super cool. So for this next band, I sit down with Dosser to talk about their album, Violent Picture, Violent Sound. We talk about some of their music videos and like some behind the scenes stuff. If anyone's looking for a copy of their record, it is obviously streaming everywhere, but you can also get vinyl and maybe tape, I gotta double check, over at Really Rad Records as well. But be sure to go do that and check out this clip. Kind of jumping back into the record, you released 3 music videos so far. We did talk about how Inertia's gonna have its music video coming out. Do you know when that music video is coming out?
420, baby.
420. So, hell yeah. By the time this episode's out, that music video will already be out. So hopefully it's already got like 10 billion views along with all the rest of the music videos. But kind of kind of jumping back, obviously we talked about how Joy Thief was the first single. It does have, I mean, it's the first song off the record, does have some darker tendencies. And Brett, we kind of just follow you in this music video, you know, doing some shady stuff. You're I haven't seen it. Like you're just covered in blood. You're putting some stuff in the trunk of your car, and then you go to a party, and surprisingly, no one's freaked out at all. They're talking to you as you're just covered in blood. Which I thought was very interesting. I mean, that music video still came out super sweet. But I do have to ask, like, you're pouring in that one scene, you're just pouring copious amounts of blood on you. How terrible was that to like rinse off at all? Because I'm sure that was just like corn syrup and like a mixture of something, right?
Sucked. It was actually it was some like Halloween store fake blood. Like probably just a bunch of fucking chemicals and shit. It looked real enough, but it tasted fucking horrible, dude. Like I couldn't get that taste out of my mouth for like days, and it stained my skin red. So at the time I was working for a job where I was like having to talk to customers like one-on-one, and they were all like, what happened to you? I was like, I didn't like know what to say. Because I couldn't explain all the things you just said. Like, so I'm in a band. I filmed a video where it kind of looks like I may have murdered somebody, but like, you know what I mean? And then like I had still shots from like the shoot or the video. So I would like show like I was buddy enough with some of the customers. I was like, no, here, like I play in a band and this is, but walking around for like a week, and we did it twice. We had 2 separate shoots where I had to get covered in blood like weeks apart. And so each time we did it for at least like 4 or 5, maybe 6 days, I would scrub every night in the shower just to try to get it off, and a little bit would come off at a time. So my hands were just like stained like this like weird pink red color for a while, and people were just fucking looking at me like constantly wherever I was going. So it was not worth it.
And then obviously Kids was the next single, and you do a completely opposite music video. You're all having a great time, a bunch of these punk kids just having a water balloon fight, while like Will kind of stands in the forefront and just like sings all these lyrics. I especially loved the collective group shotgun towards the end. That friendly moment.
I couldn't get my beer open, man.
Yeah, fun story. Brett actually he couldn't get it open and then got frustrated halfway through and he punted it, but you don't see it. My fiance got hit with the beer. He punted it and then it hit my fiance on accident. He didn't notice she was in the line of fire. She didn't have those like Keanu Reeves like Matrix moves to like she just, it was fun. Everybody was already getting soaked. It was hilarious. I mean, it was a really fun time.
Sure.
I remember
a little tipsy.
Yeah, just like, what do you say?
That everybody at that point when she got hit by the punted beer, everybody was a little tipsy, so I think it was all right.
Yeah, no, everything was fine. The only thing that sucked was my buddy Carl, who's like a really buff firefighter guy. I don't even know if this made the shot. He threw that fucking balloon so hard and it hit me right in the ear. I couldn't hear for like half the vocal take. Like my hearing came back in like 5 minutes, but it was funny because I had to just keep going with a straight face and like pretend like I wasn't like, holy shit, like what happened? But,
I was wondering, I don't think I met him, but I was wondering, I saw him like wind up and like hit you with a balloon in the face, like throwing it like a baseball pitcher. I was like, dude, does this kid have some like secret fucking hate for Will and is like out this opportunity to like get him back in a way that like may seem like he didn't do it on purpose? But then I guess it was your friend, so it was just friendly fire.
Yeah. I think he's like, like I said, he's a buff boy and he like plays rugby and shit. So I just think, just used to taking a hit, probably more than I.
Damn.
Yeah, that was a fun meeting. We just like basically hung out and fucking partied for a couple hours and invited a bunch of our friends out, and you know, poured
Yeah.
champagne on Will and hit him with water balloons.
Yeah, it was a good day. It was a really good day.
Yeah, I mean those ones are always fun. Just kind of like let loose and just like have a good time. Yeah, you're doing the work of doing music video, but at the same time, it's just like, hey, we're gonna fuck around and just see what happens and use generally most of this footage no matter what.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I was happy it came together the way it did. Yeah, I used to go to that park and it was just so fun. Like, I don't know, like, because like there's always people there just kind of partying in the background. And it was pretty funny to watch them see these group of, like you said, like rock and roller, punk, whatever people come together in this park that probably they normally wouldn't go to, like as a large group. And so like all these people that lived in the neighborhood were just like laughing at us, like that we're just like smoking blunts in the background or like having beers like in the distance, just like what the hell are all these people like doing here? Why are they like blasting this weird? Because that's the bit thing is like the song when you do a music video, you have to play it double time. So basically, it sounds like Nightcore or some shit.
when you do a video in slow motion, you're playing it double time. So when you're singing, it looks like it's fucking. Yeah, I don't know. The song sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks sped up, and that's what's like for him to try to like sing to. So it sounds fucking unhinged. Like if.
Yeah, you didn't even get to hear the inertia one. It was so weird because that one's not quite in 4/4, so it almost sounded like polka beat some shit or I don't know. It was weird as fuck. It was really funny. And that song's so like serious and dark, and I had to like, you know, try to keep it straight. Yeah.
I can totally hear that.
So while most bands are putting out live action music videos, kind of like Dosser, there are some bands that are kind of doing animated music videos that are really cool. And one that always comes to mind every time I think about it is from the band Pastel Faces. They put out an EP this year called Blossom, which is super sick. You know, they're a melodic hardcore band mixed with a little bit of like fifth wave emo in there, Midwest emo. It's super sick. But we kind of talk about their process behind coming up with their music videos and how they executed it. Kind of hopping back into the EP, one cool thing you guys have done is did 2 animated lyric videos, one for Silver Lining and then the other one for Sakura Bloom, where you kind of use different clips from anime episodes to build those together. What was the idea behind doing that?
There's a full story to that.
Yeah.
Do you want to get the full story?
Because I mean, I feel like most bands, especially like in your style, would just be like, oh, we're gonna do a lyric video, but we're just gonna do like a visualizer of some sort of colors and just like bring the words in front. But you presented this whole like visual like story. It felt like I was involved. Like I was hooked.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So basically, everyone in this band is some sort of a weeb. So that's to start that off. But we played a show back in October at this local venue called Bad Bar, and I saw that they had a projector. And I told them, I was like, hey, it would be really cool if we like put some shit behind us. The original idea was that each song was going to get its own dedicated clip show essentially of different animes, and like we bounced off ideas of different shows to do. So for like our first song we were doing Princess Mononoke, and then for the second song we went with like Persona 5 and so on and so forth. We kind of figured out that we were a little too late in trying to implement this idea to properly practice it and have enough time between jumping the clips towards different animes. And so we ended up pivoting and just using one single clip with just our band's name and just having that looped, which looked really cool. And we have used it once more since that show. But we decided to keep the clips that I had like compiled together and then just put them up on the drive and have those for future use essentially.
Yeah, I never even really thought about that. Those clips were designed for one show. We just were able to recycle them for
We
actual
put so
content.
much. I know the amount of effort I put into that for a single show just because I thought it would look cool.
Yeah.
But it's still.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like that's
yeah,
that's such a cool idea. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I just wanted to mention because initially what we wanted to do, aside from like live, I had like this idea because I figured like all of us are pretty familiar with the whole AMV kind of thing, and I was like maybe we could try something different and implement that kind of like, you know, how we can use lyrics but in like subtitles. So it's kind of like hey, you can also watch this while paying attention to like our lyrics underneath. So it's kind of like a cool visualizer showing the anime that someone's fairly familiar with, or a movie, whatever it is, and then just kind of make it not look monotonous. I would say played in well, pretty well. I would say.
I didn't even think about that connection of how like it's placed exactly where like subtitles would be at all until you just said that. Like that's such. I mean, that's amazing that you took that idea. But I mean, I've tried to get into anime. My friends used to try and get me into it. I just never found that connection like a lot of people have. But I mean, with those clips with the music underlaid behind it, like I was hooked. Like I was like, fuck, like this shit's tight. Like where have I been this my entire life?
Yeah.
If you ever want suggestions, hit up Antonio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He knows
I grew
every
up
anime.
watching a good
Yeah.
bit of anime.
He loves
Old ones at
every
least.
anime.
And I mean, like, who didn't spend all of 2005 looking at AMVs of Linkin Park songs on YouTube?
Yeah.
Shut up, Jono. You know you did. You know you did.
I didn't, bro. I was like 4.
Bro, I was watching like Naruto fighting Sasuke to the lamest music imaginable.
Yeah.
I've watched it all.
If you know how the format of these shows go, you know, right about now, you know, we're getting done talking about a band's, you know, music, and we're starting to transition to some stories. This is where the little beer segment would be. You know, this episode, I just have a good old PBR, you know, old reliable. You know, nothing too crazy to end off this year, but we'll see what I get out of the wheelhouse for 2024. Like I've said, if anyone has any recommendations of stuff that, you know, they think I should be drinking on these episodes, you know, I keep it nice and chill. Feel free to, you know, send me a message, add a comment to the video, and we'll see what I can do in 2024. But like I said, we're gonna kind of get to some stories now, and the next one's not really a full story, but it was kind of a nice little question that I threw at my friends in Basketball Divorce Court. You know, they put out an album this year called Rebound, which was years in the making. I feel like it was also years in the making of getting them on the podcast. They were one of the original people that I had asked to be on, and you know, timing didn't work out, and then I moved, and then pandemic hit, and it was nice to finally get them on the podcast after like 4 years. So check out this clip where I asked the dreaded question, what makes you that bitch? So I want to throw in like a little fun question in one of the songs, and I've only listened to everything through a couple times, so forgive me if I don't remember the song title.
It's okay. Most of the titles are the wrong titles anyway.
Yeah, they are.
But
We'll probably change it at the day of
Last
anyway.
second.
Yeah.
Last second.
But there is a line in one of the songs that says 100% that bitch. So I want to take a second to kind of go around and ask each one of you, what makes you 100% that bitch?
Dude, Derek, start it off.
I don't know. I was born like that, baby. I don't know what to say. I don't know.
So I was just made like that.
Yeah. Trying to think of some crazy confident ones. I don't know. I really don't know.
Look at that tattoo. Man. I mean, have you seen that?
Yeah, that tattoo. That's fun.
Man, I don't know. I wrote the song. I guess like.
Yeah, that one just dude.
I got that confidence and I got that rage.
It's probably because I'm drinking. That's why. That's why I'm that bitch.
It's all about confidence. You gotta own it. You gotta be that bitch. I remember writing that song, I was like, hey, Elena,
Just giggling about it.
Yeah, I literally, so I was like...
We're like, Elena, what the fuck did I write this song about? And I was like, I don't know, write it about being like a bad bitch.
Yeah. And literally, I remember when we were recording
You
it.
were like, I'm so soft and like cry all the time. I was like, this.
Like, I schedule my crying times. Like, I cannot be like that. I don't know. I'm not feeling like that bitch right now. And we were all cracking up when we were recording it. And it was just... Dude, yeah. And I was just like, shut up. I know
Not
the lyrics
cool.
are funny, but shut up. like, oh my god.
Yeah, Paper Towel.
Party foul.
So
yeah, in the bathroom.
I was gonna say the videos. There's someone that took videos of last night's show, and I think it was fuck capitalism. There was like a way that you screamed, you like held it out way longer than I've heard it before, and it was like gave me fucking chills. And it was just like that's what makes you like that, especially on stage. You just fucking kill it.
That was the second song, and low key didn't know if I'd be able to do the rest. I was like, I gave it my all in that one, and I was like, Katie, no. Katie, no.
Yeah, last night, so someone got a YouTube video of us playing Fuck Capitalism, and at the end, you're like, Fuck Capitalism!
Dude, I like couldn't catch my breath. Like I
Yep.
said, I literally was like, man, after that second headbang, my
Yeah.
back, my neck, like it was not doing hot.
Mm.
So yeah, why are you a bad bitch?
Oh, I'm 100% self-made girl. My tits are store-bought. All this is together. I used to have a beard. Remember that?
Yo,
So yeah,
that's so wild. I could
did
never
this
imagine
all
that.
myself. So.
Self-made, baby.
So, like I mentioned at the beginning, when I said we were going to be talking about some of my favorite moments from the podcast for 2023, and maybe some life highlights. 2023 I feel like was a good year. I obviously we started doing YouTube, still going strong on the audio ones, and I put out an episode every week this entire year, which to me that seems insane. I've been really good about putting out episodes, and I appreciate everyone for tuning in. One other cool thing that happened, besides that is I did end up buying a house, which is, I know in this economy, don't judge me. I'm still surprised myself. But one thing I'm stoked to be able to do is, all my friends that, might be on tours or anything like that, I'm hopefully going to be able to, provide a safe spot for them to stay. So that way they aren't staying anywhere sketchy or, having to pay for an overpriced hotel. And one thing that really, really makes me feel good about that is hopefully it's one less band that has to go through through something like Limp Wizurdz did, that we're about to hear about. They put out an album this year in 2023 called Vile right at the beginning of the year, and it's a killer full length. They're doing crazy things. I mean, I can't believe how much music they put out, and they're still killing it. But check out these stories, and my only premise is be cautious whenever you're on tour and someone says, yeah, you can stay here. Make sure it's a habitable location.
Kansas City, at that trap house, that 3-story fucking abandoned house we stayed at, right? We played like a record store that day. And of course, it's the whole tour. Hey, if anyone's got a place we could lay our head tonight, well, please and thank you. Some guy comes, hey man, y'all can come over to our place. Like, yeah. And so we get the address or whatnot. All right, cool. We stop and got McDonald's. Well, earlier that day, one of my buddies flew out. This is wild. This is crazy
Go.
shit. Yeah, the night before, I was on the phone with one of my buddies. He was pissed drunk, and he's like, "Where y'all gonna be tomorrow?" Oh, we'll be in St. Louis, or And so he ends up flying out that next day, and we go to pick him up
At the airport.
He's still wasted from the night before, trying to communicate to pick him up, and his phone ends up dying, and he borrows one from some lady at the airport. Well, long story short, we end up picking them up, and there's a lady with her
soccer
arm around him, and she's like, "Hey, you need to take care of this guy. He's fucked." And I was like, that should have known right there.
I love the guy.
Uh-oh.
I love the guy personally, but man, that was a bad decision. Our van was already
It
full,
was fucked.
and he just had money like that where you could just buy a fucking plane ticket, and he wanted to go on tour.
Bro,
So we're
after,
like, go ahead, yeah,
after,
come on.
after the first day, he was like, "We get a fucking hotel."
Yeah, it's
or
like, no,
something?"
no.
He started buying us hotels and stuff, so we were like,
But that first night, right? So we end up getting a place to stay in middle of Kansas City, downtown-ish area, correct? Or is it Kansas City?
It was Kansas City.
Anyways, we pull up. We got a bang load of McDonald's, like 100 chicken McNuggets, a couple fucking quarter pounders. You know, I mean, we're ready to feast. We roll up to this house. It's a door with no doorknob. Straight hole in the. Not hello. Hello. Yeah, you're here. Okay. So we go in. There's cats crawling through holes in the walls and shit. And there's like old furniture with cigarette burns and beer cans all over the place. And it's like, we asked the guy, we're like, "Do you live here?" He goes, "Yeah, well, me and some other people." And we're like, "Oh, that's really fucking sweet. That's cool."
Man,
it was pretty gross.
It was so nasty. I refused to sleep on any furniture. I sat on the floor all night.
And I sat on the floor
and
up to,
watching Netflix.
up to the cell phone like this, like, you know.
And we're not on some like classist shit like I'm white trash.
No, this was
I'm not
this was
gonna
a bad
everybody else.
spot.
I've grown up in some shitholes, and this place was pretty bad.
Here's the worst though, right? So to try to picture it out, like we're in a room and there's a door or a wall, and then the wall turns, and then there's stairs going up this way. We're in the room right here. 3 a.m, I'm awake. Everyone's passed out. I think Taylor and Frankie were sleeping in the van.
We were like, "Fuck this, dude. We
It was
can't sleep
horrible.
in this. This is nasty. We gotta go sleep in the
Well,
van."
3
dog."
a.m, I remember I was watching a minimalist documentary on Netflix about a guy who owned like 2 shirts, a pair of pants, and like a set of silverware or some shit. And all of a sudden, from 3 stories up, I hear do 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 do. Fuck. Do 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 do. Back now, and then it felt like they were at the bottom of the stairs on this side of the wall, and we were on this side of the wall, and I could just feel them like looking over at us, and I was like, "Fuck this!" And before that, we went to the basement to get water because they're like, the only water is in the basement. It's like, no, fuck you guys.
No. It's like you're in this kitchen, big open kitchen,
Broken
you're looking
glass
around,
all over the floor.
and you're looking around, and there's like a hallway down in the basement that's like, I mean, it's like. I mean, I could throw a football.
Yeah,
right?
it was nuts.
Like, and I was like, "Dude, I'm not. That's where the water
Yeah,
is."
that's it. We're not drinking nothing tonight.
It's like one of those moments where you're like, I never should have smoked that shit.
Well,
this fucking weird trap house.
Well, and it's like, you know, I love Rodrigo, but he snores really bad.
Oh, him and our buddy were out like a light.
They both played the fuck out immediately, and it's
Yeah, Rod sounds like he's dying.
He sounds like he's fucking dying.
I'm like, I need to call an ambulance. It sounds like he's not breathing.
I was like, I can't do this shit. Me and Taylor and our buddy Randy were like, we got to go sleep in the van, dude. This is fucked up. And we got the pistol, like, you know. We're traveling with a gun. I'll
Pistol
admit,
grip.
because it's like you never know
We're
what's
fucking
gonna happen.
badass, dude.
Yeah, Jeff's a badass.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
We have our own hardcore crew.
And the
But
funny,
like, you know, it's like we're so sketched the fuck out that like, and you know, I don't know, man. We're like lock all the fucking doors, like
lock the door. There's no door in.
Yeah,
That's-
they're in the van.
Yeah, lock the van.
We're like, fuck these guys. I guess they're in the house. Fuck them. I
So,
guess.
so after I heard all that commotion, these people running up and down the stairs, right? I was like, "Fuck this! I'll never sleep in here. It's not gonna happen." I'm, you know, Rod's sleeping on like an inflatable bed full of bed bugs and shit, and so I go out back and I'm laying across the front, the driver's seat and the passenger seat with a huge slope in the middle, and I bucket. Wake up the next day, the backyard has trash going up to the second story. And am I wrong? Do you remember that?
It was like
going up to the second
It was
story.
like some like you've seen Wally, right? Like the movie
Yeah.
Wally. It was like how they were stacking trash, like fucking
It was
like
crazy.
giant
Cubes of it, like houses of in this backyard. And so there's no fence to the backyard. Well, there's about a 10-foot drop, and then there's somebody else's house in their backyard. Well, this nice family's eating breakfast and shit, and our buddy who we had come along, he's sitting there yelling at the chick inside the house, and we're like, "Dude, shut the fuck up!" Like, it's 10 in the morning, they're having breakfast, leave them alone. Well, this lady saw him, and she comes outside and she's like, "What are y'all doing here?" And we're like, oh yeah, our friend let us stay at this house.
We just crashed.
And she goes, that's an abandoned house. You're not supposed to be there. And we're like, oh, it makes so much more sense now.
No way, it's abandoned.
And so we get in the van and we're leaving. And if y'all remember, as we're leaving, SWAT team next door doing a raid on the house next door to us. Do y'all remember the fucking SWAT team? Taylor, do you remember that?
Vaguely, I thought
there was
I
like
didn't think it
fucking
was a raid.
10.
I thought there was a stabbing or something.
There was 10 police cars outside as we're leaving. We're like, get the fuck out of here now.
Well, it's that time. I got one more clip to show you, and it's from a conversation that I had with the dudes in Swiss Army Wife, where we kind of talked about their new album, Medium Gnarly, which if anyone's looking for vinyl, you can get that over at Really Rad Records. You know, quick shout out to Really Rad. You know, I have 3 of their bands featured on this list. They're doing great things. But you know, Swiss Army Wife had a great year in 2023. They released their album, Medium Gnarly. Like I said, they did their kind of first tour, and they also had probably one of the oddest or weirdest experiences on that tour. And this is the story we're kind of going to talk about. To me, it's like real Twilight Zone-esque. So, you know, tell me what you think.
So anyways, super cool, and then we crashed. And, no, we didn't crash. We broke down. We broke down.
Honestly, it would have been better if we crashed. But yeah, broke down on a Friday at 4:30 in the middle of nowhere.
In the snow.
In the snow, yeah, it was snowing. So yeah.
Just outside of the Great Basin, Eastern Nevada.
God, it was freezing. Yeah. Like it was like 11 degrees, saying like feels like -1 kind of.
Oh my God.
So
real
cold.
life tumbleweed coming
Yeah, it was great.
For people that are listening and aren't fully sure what we're talking about, your transmission went out in your van on your second to last day of tour.
On our way up to our last stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so close.
So yeah, it felt pretty far.
It's honestly quite the story. If you guys want to take the steering wheel at any point, but pretty much broke down at 4:30 on a Friday. Had to get towed into the nearest city, which was 45 minutes away from us, called Ely, Nevada. It's spelled E-L-Y, but it's pronounced Ely, I think that's right. Anyways.
Population, like what, like 2,000?
I forget, but
if that,
just tiny town. And then, they get us into there. It's now like 6:30, maybe 7 at this point.
Yeah, it was pretty late.
They take us to a hotel. This hotel is straight out of a time capsule in the 50s. Like, it made no sense. The carpeting was weird. Like, everyone's smoking cigarettes inside. There's ashtrays everywhere. Like, the lobby was connected to the casino, which was connected to a pool.
It was Nevada. Everything was connected to a casino.
It didn't make sense. Like, it wasn't like, oh, they had a pool area and like it was all
just like one big
lobby.
I swear, I was like sitting in the hot tub on day 2, like the sound of gambling machines blasting behind me. It's like, this is the most Twin Peaks I've ever felt in my entire life. I'm gonna die here for sure.
Well, and after, because we were there, it was like 5 nights, 4 days.
No way.
It was something like that. Yeah,
that's disgusting.
It was like, so this town, there's no buses, there's no trains, there's no rental car agencies, there's nothing out of there. The only airport is a cargo exclusive airport.
There's no used car. Well, you couldn't even buy a car that was functioning.
Right,
like
the only one one U-Haul with 2 available
trucks on the whole lot. Like,
one of which was gone for a long ass time. The other one got rented out from under us like 3 days in a row.
Yeah, like me and John are standing in the office, like, here's my card, take my money, let me get the thing. And he's like, it was just rented. It's like, no.
It was, I think it was day 2. We like walked to the Albertsons or wherever, and this person's like, oh, I'm so sorry y'all broke down. I actually broke down here like a while back, and it was like 2 years ago, and I'm still here. We're like, oh my God. Then I just woke up every night in a cold sweat with that like ringing in my mind. It's like, oh my God.
She literally said, oh, I've been stuck here since my transmission failed. I was like, what is going on? How long are we gonna be here? So, but it makes sense. There's like no nearby cities, and if you don't have support or anything like that, like you got to work to fix your car, get a car, and you're just stuck there. So
5 hours to Salt Lake, 5 hours to Boise, 5 hours to Vegas. Like it's just middle of nowhere.
So we had like plans of U-hauling our stuff to Boise or Salt Lake and then getting a rental there or fixing it there. And then we found out it was going to take a week to fix, so that wasn't worth it. So then we were just going to get a rental car in Boise or Salt Lake and just drive it to Portland with all our gear. And we called Enterprise travel agents and one other Hertz travel agents, and they're like, there's no outward rentals in the state of Idaho or Utah, period. Like
nowhere in Oregon or Washington was accepting one-way drop-offs because we just had like a huge snowstorm here in Oregon, and so I don't think anybody was renting cars. They were just, full of stock. So like, no, we won't take one-ways.
Yeah.
So like,
in fairness, Hertz said yes, but for like $2,000 to $3,000 extra dollars because we also didn't want to drop stuff off there. We're like, okay.
Oh, so we had a saint of a friend, one of Tim's best friends, Adam. He came up and drove 12 hours from Portland, picked us up, and then we drove 12 hours back. But it was more like 15 hours.
Yeah,
like,
he was driving through a snowstorm. Like he sent me videos. He's like, yeah, at one point I'm going 35 through the mountains in this van, just driving straight through.
Yeah,
it was
couldn't see the road at some point.
And like
MVP.
The town did claim a victim. Unfortunately, our van is still resting there.
Yeah, we had to
a bummer.
Had to junk it. What did they give you for it, Tim? Like
$800, and they said they would take care of my bill
for tow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the shop we towed it to was the guy in town who bought all the used cars and stuff. So
they were ready.
Yeah, they were ready for us.
Yeah, he was just like, I'm just gonna wait this out. I'm gonna get this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was. You could see, like, I think we all started like, okay, this is not ideal, and then like the mental health of this just like declined slowly. We got more desperate.
Yeah.
Suddenly it wasn't, can we get the van out of here? It's like, can we get out of here?
Honestly, day after day of grocery store mac and cheese and bad smash burgers.
Right. At first it wasn't bad. We're all sitting playing Pokemon. Like, this is great. Most time I've had to play Pokemon in weeks.
It's true, actually.
And then you realize where you are, and it's so depressing.
And
you just don't look up a Pokemon.
The only things in that town were liquor stores. Like straight up liquor store after liquor store is like
from which we did shop once.
Yeah.
And the beer was expired for like 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah, there was like
and they were
sludge at the bottom of it. I was drinking it, I was like, oh, it's got pulp, and then I like set in that beer doesn't have the pulp.
No. But like Tim took it back and they gave him attitude. They're like, so like
all our beers expired.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah, they're like, this is our daily life. Just fucking deal with it.
What are you guys talking about? You guys drink normal beer?
You City Slickers and you're like regular expired beer.
So yeah, that place was a trip, and then we had to call out of that Boise show, obviously, and yeah, we're still working on getting a new van, but the GoFundMe support was unreal that we got, like absolutely blew our minds. We debated doing it, like it's one of those things you never want to get to that point, but it really was like we were in the hole big time, and for us to even be considering going back out there again, like we needed help, and like
I could get to work every day because the van was my daily driver,
Yeah.
It's really hard sitting there on day 5 and like, okay, I'm also missing work for all of these.
Yeah,
things.
Yeah. So in the end, that support was on. Jesus, someone just
cats are up there causing havoc.
But, yeah, the support was crazy, totally unexpected. Like, yeah, it was just unreal. So we're super thankful, like collectively, for that.
Sure.
Like
some anonymous person at the end of the campaign donated $2,000, which like is absolutely unreal.
We don't know who it was. We still don't know. Like
whoever you are, if you're listening, holy shit, you.
Wow.
Yeah, like there are not words for how much we appreciate that.
That was like tears to the eyes kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you see that and you're like, what?
Yeah, I woke up to messages. I'm tagged in the group chat. And I check. It's like, Tim, you're gonna freak out. What? And I'm starting crying as I'm like, what's happening right now? This can't be real.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was dope.
I mean, that's amazing because I think the goal was only 3,000, and then to donate basically 90% of that from one person, like,
Mhm.
yeah, whoever that is, like, major props for doing that and, you know, helping you guys out that much.
Yeah. No, we will owe them forever.
Yes,
That's just-
It's private shows for life.
Yeah.
Tell us who you are.
Yeah.
We'll do anything.
When you finally got out of that town, though, did you have any thought of like going back to that one lady at the store and being like, "This is your chance. Come with us. We can get you out."
Yeah, I think if we had tried to take more than we brought, the town would have exacted some sort of like
That's
spiritual
probably true.
vengeance.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I do have to shout out Dolores, the deli lady at the grocery store, who served us macaroni and cheese, JoJo's, and chicken like every day for 5 days. Warned us when the sewer started backing up into the water system, when even the hotel didn't know that was happening. Just was so kind.
Yep.
So thank you, Dolores.
Shouts out Dolores.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah. Yeah, we should have taken her back.
Yeah.
Just like we'll drop you at the nearest big town, and you'll just be able to get somewhere from there at least.
So we have to go back.
If we go back, our car breaks down again, and we do not get to leave. This is a lost situation.
Yeah, you can never go near, like, within the radius of that town. Otherwise, like, it automatically sucks you back in.
It felt that way sometimes. Like coming out of that town, like it's just like flat and empty.
We had 2
no
rescue
escape.
attempts fail before one was successful, which is also wild.
Like it truly felt like something was trying to keep us there.
It felt like a movie. Even the hotel staff was talking like, "Oh, another day, huh?" Like you're like, "Oh shit!"
The ladies were so happy.
Yeah, the
All your
ladies
things
are so
around.
happy you're still here.
Oh my
Like,
God.
oh god, get us out now.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone just smoking cigarettes inside was just crazy to me for some reason. Like, okay, we're like in the 50s. This is just different.
The deep fried cheesecake hit.
That was really good.
That
Yeah,
was
the
a
smash
good-
burgers weren't good, but the deep
No.
fried cheesecake. Oh man.
They know what they're doing in that department.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like I said, that story is super trippy just because, like, that seems like really Twilight-esque, being stuck in that town. Personally, I still wonder if that lady never made it out. I'm too scared to find out, and I'm sure they don't want to drive back there because they're going to get stuck again, and I don't blame them. But as I'm ending off this episode, I want to say thank you to every band that was on in 2023. You know, everyone's putting out killer stuff, and I'm so happy that they took the time to sit down with me and kind of ramble on. Also, I want to give a big thank you to anyone that has checked out an episode, anyone who's come back and checked out more than one episode, anyone that's recommended the podcast to a friend. It means a lot that anyone would do that, because like I said, I'm just a guy that just sits behind a computer and talks to people and, you know, gushes over how much I enjoy their music. So I appreciate anyone that tunes in. You know, if we're on all the streaming sites, we're on YouTube. If you're so inclined, feel free to hit subscribe on YouTube. New episodes come out every Friday. You'll get alerted right away when those come out. And, you know, if you want to, feel free to follow on you know, Spotify, Apple Music. Be ready for all those as well. Or if you want to, you know, even rate us however you want to on those. I don't know if those really do anything, but it'd be cool to see what your comments are, or hyping it up. But you know, I can't thank everyone enough. 2023 has been a great year. I'm stoked to see what 2024 is going to be like. And you know, long live Beers with Bands, and I'll catch everyone on the next episode. See ya.
Beers with Bands.